Never done this before, so I hope this works. How many of you use the recordings over the weekend? Well, you did because you were, yeah. Okay, so Alma was right. They're valuable. I can't mess them up. Okay, so we got an example. Now, step 2 in the proof writing guide, which Sam doesn't have, so he's completely lost.
Are you referring to the 2 YouTube videos that were like 15 minutes long?
Yeah, the ones that are on our playlist. They're just recordings of class. They're on. No, I just record our videos. So if I do an example that's similar to your homework, that one usually gets a lot of hits because it says similar to your homework. All right, so now we're going to do an if-then statement, first draft. So I'm trying to show A intersect B equal is a subset, sorry, of A complement intersect B complement. So I want to change that to an if-then statement. The definition of subset gives me that. That's nice because sometimes you don't have that and you have to really think about how to transform. You can transform any statement to an if-then statement. It just takes a little wheel moving to do that. That's what I have to prove as a if-then statement. So step 3. Write down your no. What is it you know? Well, it's between the if and the then. Whatever is between the if and the then is your given. Well, I don't need a let. It's just, this is what I know. Step 4. Expand your no. There's definitions. So the first one is I've got the complement sitting outside this beast. So I start with that part. Expansion 1. X belongs to A union B complement means X belongs to I just peeled off the definition I just gave you. When I first started teaching proofwriting classes, I used to think that I was still in the mode of like this, all classes have to be the same. So you're supposed to do quizzes and WPRs and all that stuff. And I think, well, what's the easiest thing I can ask? Some easy stuff I could ask. Think like a teacher. What would be the easiest thing I could put on a WPR if I want to ask some things on a WPR? Definitions. So what would happen is everybody'd have note cards in class. They bring them to class and they memorize everything. You mess up one letter though, or one word, like you change and to or, the whole thing is wrong. And then we'd get into negotiations. The actual grade and negotiations about that grade, taking off the points. I'd take off full points. If they gave me an and instead of an or, I'd take off full points. The definition is just wrong. The definition is right or wrong. And they'd say, well, I just changed one word. Like that changes the whole meaning. So we'd go back and forth. And I just thought, what am I doing here? I need them to understand the definitions in terms of how it's going to be used in a proof. I don't want them to memorize definitions and have arguments about and or, right? It's about where you put in the proof. So that's how you're going to learn your definitions. And you're going to know them by the end of the semester because you just use them so much. That's how you really learn something, right? You have note cards out there saying this is how you pitch or this is how you hit a ball. What's your sport?
Arthro.
Yeah, you don't have like note cards out there like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to stand this way and I'm supposed to do this, right? Try it out, see what happens. You might get sent back to sick hall. Okay, let's do expansion 2. Oops. So I've got a definition in there of what it is to, I've got something peeled in there, right? Like, I want to take it out. So if I want to have, so I don't have a continuation. I should have just copied and pasted expansion 1 here, but in expansion 2, here's where I'm at. X belongs to this set. Sure. You don't. So the way I think of it is I need something to work with. And so I always use symbolic notation because I need something to get my hands in and put this puzzle together. So that's what leads me back to the definitions. And then I look at that definition and say, well, that's kind of a weird definition. Why not being in the union? I know what why being in the union means, but what does it mean for it not to be in the union? So I'm just gonna peel this part out. I know what the union is. It's the set of Z. That's what that thing is. Formally on WPRs and quizzes, that definition. That's what the union is. It's or. So Y is not in that. So my expansion 2 is just going to be writing it down. X belongs to this set. It's a set of Y and X such that Y does not belong to this set. And sometimes I'm really good and I don't abuse, but a lot of times I do. So what I typically do is I use X's over and over and over again. That's an abuse of the X. And the X can't do anything about it. It's crying. So here I'm good. The dummy variables have changed. The X is an element of a set with Y's. And then I use Z's. They're just dummy variables. All right, so I'm going to be using this. If you come to my office, you'll see like it's chaos in there. And I have lots and lots of paper. I just ask for one thing, lots of white paper with nothing on it on both sides, so I can actually write comfortably on that paper. And I have a nice pencil and I sit there and I take a lot of notes. And so after a while, I start losing what I'm doing. And so I kind of cordon off like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Okay, step 5. So what you're doing here is you're just laying out your puzzle pieces. It's like when you're looking at a statement of a theorem that you're trying to prove, it's like someone's got a puzzle and all the pieces are in a box. And you want to take those puzzle pieces out. So you're trying to build that puzzle. And so you take the puzzle pieces out and lay them out in front of you so you can put them together. That's what you're doing. So next step is to extract the show. That's everything that comes after the then statement, which I see on my piece of paper, which hopefully you have on your piece of paper, but it's going to be X belongs to A complement intersect B complement. Step 6 is to expand the show. Somebody put an or there, that would be a disaster, right? That's not what intersect means. And the hardest things to prove are the ones that are not true. Won't be true. I can go further. Oh, sorry, I'm rewriting this. This is step 6 rewritten. I don't want to do that. Oh, expansion 2, that's what I meant to do. That's what that means. So I just wrote it up. Good so far? So the biggest mistake I see from newbies, I can tell you this, I told you it's like really just 1 month of prying. But the biggest mistake I see from newbies is wanting to go to the next step, which is assemble the proof without doing this. Like, this is necessary. It took me almost a year to realize that in graduate school. I spent the entire time not smiling for 1 year. And that's bad for me because I'm an extrovert and I'm always happy. I was unhappy for 1 year. And then once I realized I'm supposed to do all this stuff ahead of time, I'm like, why didn't someone tell me this to start out with? No one told me that. A German girl in my office finally said, you can't start here. You have to start here. What is it you know? And she'd say, what is it you know? And I tell her, what, where do I get that from? She goes, well, from the hypothesis. So then we work through it. I'm like, why is no one teaching us this? All right, so now it comes the assemble the proof.